Canadian Bulldog from Wrestling Merchandise and Memories. That's merchandiseandmemories.com. And today we're going to review the third issue of WCW's comic book that was produced by Marvel in the early 1990s. Check out our WCW Wednesdays playlist to look at previous reviews as well as lots of other good stuff. Just before we get started, wanted to remind you that Wrestling Merchandise and Memories has more than 100 unique and conversation-starting top 50 lists on its site. Check it out at bit.ly/top 50 lists. When we last left off, Ron Simmons and Sting were worrying about the mysterious WCW ghoul who is haunting the company. This mirrored the career path of the WCW Phantom on WCW television, who was quickly revealed to be ravishing Rick Rude. But enough about that ghoul crap. WCW is holding its Bruise Cruise, a chartered cruise ship event that really did exist back then, and WCW incorporated it into the comic book to help drum up its fledgling tourism business. Remember that fact later, as it will become important. So over on the Lido deck, the Stinger is beating up some scrub who only wishes that he was Big Josh, as roughly 24 wrestling fans watch on in amazement. This could have been a WCW worldwide taping. But all is not well on the Bruise Cruise. Cactus Jack, or at least a ridiculously large rendering of Mick Foley for some reason, is there to cause mischief on the boat. And to aid him, he's got the Young Pistols. Nothing against Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong, but they weren't exactly the top heels in WCW at the time. What the hell? Was Jim Cornette booking this shit? The Young Pistols sneak into the fitness room and kidnap a bunch of cruisegoers, forcing them into giant laundry sacks, as Cactus Jack commandeers the ship's controls and the leisurely cruise is forced into a state of emergency. Meanwhile, Sting is dancing to karaoke music with Missy Hyatt when they both hear that there's been an emergency. Sting leaves his date, freeing her to screw, well, pretty much any other dude on the boat, and springs into action to find the dastardly heels who are compromising their lives. Because the Stinger isn't just a patron of this cruise ship, he's also apparently John McClane in Die Hard. After beating up the Young Pistols, who we learn are working for the WCW Ghoul and have brought a bomb on board, Sting is forced to climb a ladder to the top of the ship, uttering the dumbest quote ever used in a comic book of any kind. "Hi, little dude, have you seen a 350-pound homicidal maniac?" But here's a question. Did Sting actually take off his suit, remove his shirt, and apply his face paint before tracking down Cactus Jack? And if so, why? Soon, Sting climbs to the top of the structure, kind of like Donkey Kong, and comes face to face with Cactus Fat. To make matters worse, Food Love is carrying a vial of some sort of liquid rather than a bomb, per se. And continuity note, the vial becomes sticks of dynamite by the next panel. A question. Remember how I said WCW was trying to promote its Bruise Cruise? How? By telling you that kidnappings and bombings are the norm? How exactly would this entice anyone to attend said cruise? WCW Bruise Cruise, our security isn't very strict. Of course, if the Stinger watched King of the Ring 1998, he could have seen exactly how The Undertaker dispatched of Mrs. Fatley's bulky boy when he was perched atop a high ledge. But Sting is just trying to get the bomb away from this 350-pound homicidal maniac who honestly looks more like Yokozuna in these pictures. I mean, let's be honest here. He was never Rick Rude in the physique department, but he never looked like the Big Show and Abdullah the Butcher had a child together. Sting is unable to hold on to the Lardcore legend, giving us one of the more impressive scenes in recent comic book memory. The icon falls off the platform himself, but not before having the presence of mind to throw the sticks of dynamite clear from the boat. Miraculously, the explosion happens without affecting anyone on the boat. But what about all those poor fish? Isn't there an expression about fishing with dynamite? Anyways, the two men are still plunging to their deaths when Mick Fatley decides to take a flat back bump and lands in center ring fresh as a daisy. And instead of, dying on impact, Sting does a hop right onto his big fat belly, does a somersault in midair, twists around backwards, and leaps out of the ring. I'm not saying that spot looks a little contrived, but 3 workers from AEW have come forward and said, dude, that sequence doesn't look very realistic. Believe it or not, Sting and Cactus still have a wrestling match. This one is for the cameras, I suppose, in which the Stinger still manages to get a clean victory. Afterwards, Sting talks to the cops about everything that's gone down, and he's still kind of worried that this pesky WCW ghoul hasn't surfaced yet, despite threatening to kill him. So how does the Stinger take his mind off of impending death? Apparently by trying to get laid, dancing the night away with Missy Hyatt. Sting doesn't care that someone wants him killed. It's party time, dude. Usually, I'm quite high on Marvel's WCW comic books. The storylines are more Marvel-esque and the artwork is generally pretty good. But for this one, you almost have to know what's going on in WCW to understand every little reference. And the ghoul plot is making less and less sense around. We already know that it's going to be Rick Rude. Why delay that? Let's hope that issue number 4, War Games, is better than the Bruise Cruise. Do you remember the WCW comic book series by Marvel? If so, leave a comment below and be sure to like this video and subscribe to Wrestling Merchandise and Memories for much more great content.